Australian dollar আর European dollar কে কি?
Okay, so now we're recording, and we are now recording. So, those of you, maybe people could put their phones and computers on mute while I'm talking, and then of course I want to hear from each of you. So, you just take your phone off or your computer off of mute when you want to talk or ask a question, of course. All right, so let's get going. So, welcome everybody. We have a great group of people, a nice large group of people from all across the globe, really, from Kuwait across the United States, all the different time zones in the United States, and then in Bangladesh, also in Asia. So we have a big group across the world today. It's very cool, very international group. Now, what we're going to cover today, before I get into it, I want to make a couple of announcements. But you remember, what are we covering today? We're going to go over meditation from the perspective of the long range effects. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What happens after you've been meditating for many weeks and then months and then years of meditation? That's our focus of our discussion today. But before I get into that, I just wanted to mention, number one, that feel free to come back and watch the recording of this. As I mentioned, I'm recording this, so you can come back, and I encourage you to come back. And of course, there are many people who couldn't be on the call with us today for various reasons. I know a number of people sent me messages and they're working today or whatever, they have family affairs and so forth. But they're going to watch the recording. But even those of you who are on the call today, just a teaching point, I encourage you to watch the recording whenever you feel like it and whenever you can afterwards, even if you were live here hearing it. And or if you've watched it once, you can watch it again. I'll tell you, when I first learned to meditate, as you guys know, it was a long time ago. 49 years ago, I learned to meditate. And when I learned to meditate, I sat in on the class many, many, many times. And I learned every single time I sat in on the class, I learned more. Why? Because it's like I was bringing a new mind, right? I was bringing a new mental perspective, a new mind to each class I sat in on again, and I would hear the teacher say the same thing again, or sometimes different things that that he or she didn't say before, but sometimes the same thing. And because my mind and my experiences in life and in meditation had been different between that time and the time before, I learned more. And so I encourage you to sit in on the class again as many times and watch the recordings. I know a number of you do that, and you go on the website, that private password protected page. Remember, the password is just meditation on my website, and you watch some of the recordings over and over again, and feel free to do that. I encourage you to do that. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to just mention is just a reminder. I have my 6-part Afterlife video conference series that's going to start again on January 31st. So this is going to be the third time that I'm doing this series. It's a series of 6 sessions, about an hour and a half to 2 hours. It depends how long the questions go. I mean, I've had some groups and sessions where the question and answer alone has gone an hour. After I speak for about 55 minutes, I'll speak. And then the questions and answers have gone in like another hour, just because of the discussion and so forth that comes up. And we talk about afterlife. What's the structure of the afterlife like? I talk about my personal experiences with that, and also I bring in and I talk about other people's experiences, who I know, people, friends of mine and so forth, who I know, and their experiences. So it's a 6-part series. It's $100 for an early bird discount. So the early bird discount I'm running till tomorrow. It's $125 after that for the 6-part series. So basically, in the United States anyway, that's the cost of popcorn and a movie. So each session, 16 bucks or whatever. So it costs you. It costs a popcorn and a movie. Now, those people who've already taken this series know that I have an alumni rate, I call it, on my website, and it's half price. It's 50 bucks. So like $8 a session. So just so that to make it easy for people, and those people who have financial issues and can't really pay, I never turn people away. So people can sit in on the series, and if they pay a lesser amount, or if they can't pay because of really financial difficulties, I let people sit in on it. So you let me know, okay? You can privately message me, send me an email, or whatever. So I never ever turn people away. I want people to be exposed to this so that they get more knowledge about it. And even if you don't believe in everything that I talk about, it does not matter. It's about helping give people more information, and then you figure it out and decide whether it fits with your belief system or not, and that's okay. I'm not here to push it on people. And those people who live in different parts of the world, as you already know, I tailor my fees according to what the economy is in that particular part of the world. So I'm quoting to you my USA, Canada, European prices, but in Africa and Asia, certain parts of Asia, depends where you are in Asia. Some parts of Asia the economies are more like the United States, similar. Or South America may be very different economy from the United States. So it depends on where you are in the world. I tailor the fees also. So you who are already in the other parts of the world already know that. But like I said, my European, U.S., Canada, basically prices, and then some parts of Asia, depending, are what I just said to you. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind, and there's a link in the email that I sent you for this. There's a link in there about the this Afterlife 6-part series you can check out, and there's a video you can watch also of me talking about what it's gonna be about. There's a video link in that email I sent you to. Okay, let's get going. Today's class. Now, the structure of today's class, the meditation refresher, or the day 4 long range effects meditation class that we're going to do today, is going to be this. I want to go around the room, the virtual room here. I want to hear, especially from my new people, my new clients, my new students, how has it gone in the last couple of few weeks since we last talked, and how's your meditation gone? How's it going? Any questions that you have? And then we'll go around the rest of the room. Other people have questions and so forth who have taken the class, and I'm just looking at the group of people who are on here, and some people have taken the class 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years. There's some people in the class right now who've taken the class years ago, many years ago. So different people can ask different questions. I don't care how long you've been meditating, it doesn't matter, okay? After my new people. And then we're going to have a group meditation together. I will lead a group meditation. And then we'll talk about the long range effects. So that's going to be the structure of the class today, okay? So why don't we start by going with the new folks. Ashik and Duli, why don't you turn your mic on, and why don't you just give me a little kind of summary of how has it gone, and you don't have to tell me every single time you meditated, of course, since we last talked, but tell me how it's gone. Just give me a summary, and any questions and so forth, of course, about technique or about when to do it or anything about the meditation, okay? Ashik, Duli, you want to go?
Okay.
Okay, Kelvin. It's been 2 weeks we have been meditating, and it's been a fine experience. I think my anxiety has reduced in some way. We have been meditating 2 times a day, in the morning and in the night, and it's been. We have been doing it for 5 plus 10 minutes. That is 5 times meditation time and 10 minutes resting time.
Great.
And at the first period, we were struggling a bit to concentrate or to in some extent, but now we are doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have been doing well, and my anxiety part. However, my anxiety is not like previous. It's now quite reducing.
Good, good, very good. I'm very happy to hear that, Ashik. So, and it will gradually. We'll talk about this after we meditate today. I'll talk about how that's going to go probably for you, how it will progress in the future. But that's very good. Just in the last couple of weeks, just in 2 weeks, you notice your anxiety's reduced a lot, which is great. I'm so happy to hear that. Great. And now let me ask you a question. When you said that it was more difficult to concentrate, tell me what you mean by that earlier.
I think I feel that the anxiety part always came to my mind that will it decrease or not? Will it increase? That's the thing I was always afraid of. That's why my concentration sometimes was not fixed. But you told me before not to concentrate, not to expect,
Right.
and that's the way I followed your rules. And
Good.
After then, I didn't try to concentrate or didn't try to expect anything. I think it just going on.
Good.
What happens. And then I felt that my life is becoming good from previous time, because I used to have a anxiety or some anxiousness in my mind, but for the last 2 weeks it's been going well, and the anxiety didn't come to my mind at all.
That's excellent. Very, very good. Very good. Yes, exactly. So you said for everybody, Ashik, you did a very good job summarizing for everybody in the class today one of the main rules, which is no expectation, no anticipation, not looking for anything in terms of experience during our meditation. And that's what I mean when I say don't concentrate, don't focus, no looking for anything. Because even looking for something is a very small, subtle, but small form of focusing, and that will make the mind go like this. It will make the mind go like this. It will contract the mind, and that will make the body contract, and that's not what we want. We want the body to go like this. I go, relax. And so we need to just, like you said, you were just right. You were correct in how you said that. No anticipation, no expectation, and that's what we mean when we say no concentration. That was very good summary. That's excellent, and I'm so happy to hear that your anxiety has decreased so much. And so, Dooley, you want to talk a little bit and tell me how it's gone?
Kelvin, I just want to add that I'm doing the meditation at night with Ashik, but in the morning I'm doing it myself. And the best part is Ashik keeps saying for the last couple of days that he's really feeling good. He's really feeling good, and just thanks to you, because he's not getting that kind of anxiousness uh, uh, which he used to have previously.
Yes.
And he's doing his meditation very routinely. I noticed it because he's doing it very routinely, and he's maintaining. I think he's following all of your rules.
That's
and
very
that's it's really, I'm very much thankful to you for this.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome, Dooley. That's great. And your meditation also has gone smoothly, easily? Yeah?
Yeah, it's going easily, smoothly,
Good.
and I'm feeling good.
Good.
I'm also feeling good at my work.
Great.
At my daily life.
Great.
It's really refreshing.
Great. I'm so happy to hear that for both of you. I'm so I cannot express to you completely how happy I am to hear that. It's wonderful. So that's really, really great. And so, yeah, and it just will continue. It will continue. You will feel better and better. And we'll talk more about this after we meditate. But any questions from either of you in terms of the technique or anything like that? Any questions?
Actually, I'm very much excited to know from people joining here
Yeah.
who have doing this meditation for a long time.
Yeah.
I just want to hear their experience.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, so you heard that request, everybody. So I want to hear. So Dooley in Bangladesh is asking for to hear about your experiences too. So even if you don't have questions, maybe each of you could think about something you could share with some of my newest students here, and they can hear from some of you who've been meditating for more months and maybe even years. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Any questions, Ashik? Any questions from you?
No, I've been doing well, and
Good.
I've been following the rules, which was in the printed copy you mailed us, and it's been fixed in a refrigerator, and I follow it very strictly.
Great.
And that's why I'm doing well. I don't have any question. I know all the rules, I think.
Okay, good. Excellent, Ashik. I'm so happy to hear. So let's open it up to other folks who may have comments or questions. First of all, any questions that anybody has or comments you want to make? Just go ahead. I'll open it up. Jovan, anything? Brandon?
No, nothing from me.
Okay,
Thanks.
okay. Brandon, do you want to say anything? Questions or anything? Sharon, you, Sharon in California. I have multiple Sharons on right now. Sharon in California. You want to talk about some of the, because you've been meditating a while. You want to share something with them? Tell them how long has it been? Has it been? Geez, I don't even know. Has it been 2 years? 3 years? I can't remember.
Oh gosh, I think it was a year ago, November, wasn't it?
Okay, so a year and a half. Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell them? Yeah.
Sure. So, like Ashik and Dooley, I received immediate benefit from the meditation, and I have like everybody, I have a lot going on in my life, and I'm responsible for a lot of people and a lot of things, and I noticed that I was slacking on getting my meditation in. Wasn't, when things are going well, you tend to just kind of, stray a little bit. And every time that I would notice that I would start to get more anxious or would have less calm in my life, a lot of chaos, I would say to myself, Sharon, you're not meditating. And so I'd get right back into it, and immediately I would feel the benefits again. And so I, over the course of that first year, I think what I discovered was that I didn't have to be perfect about my meditation. Yes, I followed the rules, but I would tend to in order to be consistent, I would do it as soon as I woke up in the morning, and I'd do it right before bed. And I had an impression that was not the right thing to do, but I did it anyway because that was when I could really get it in. And I also noticed that, like at nighttime, that I would fall asleep, and then I thought that maybe I wasn't doing it correctly. But Kelvin, you mentioned how it's okay to fall asleep, and then that released that anxiety in me to again be perfect. And I have really benefited from that. And I feel like even though my meditation is maybe not more than 5, 10, 15 minutes at the most, that I'm getting full benefit of it. And I also noticed that in this, last few months, I've really noticed that I can meditate anywhere, anytime, which I do a lot. I don't have necessarily a rest period, but what I do is I say the sound that you gave me, and that is an immediate connection for me to my higher spirit. That's what I feel. And that just kind of calms me immediately. And so I just stay in that meditative state if I'm in like a doctor's office or someplace that's a little more tense for me. And I just keep saying that sound. And it's working very nicely. And it's also giving me some strength to work on my physical well-being and take care of myself, and also to let go of those things I can't control. So that's my spiel.
That's great.
Thank you, Kel.
Thanks for sharing that, Sharon. I really appreciate it. I think it's good for Ashik and Dooley, the new folks, to hear that. Maybe Steve, you could say something, but Steve, if you're still on the call, I think you're on. Maybe you can share something, and Mary Paz in a minute. But let me just say one thing about what you said, Sharon. I want to reinforce for everybody how important it is to not worry about how long, how many minutes. Was it 4 minutes? Was it 5 minutes? Was it 8 minutes? It doesn't matter. Remember the analogy I used for everybody. I came up with this about 6 or 8 months ago. I started telling people it's like jumping in a swimming pool. When you jump in the swimming pool, you get wet every single time. It doesn't matter how many minutes you were in the swimming pool or in the river or in the lake. You jump in and you get wet every single time. Maybe it feels different if you swim around in the water for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. You swim around. That feels more relaxing. It might feel differently than if you just jump in and get wet and cool off and get out. But just like with meditation, you get the benefit of it even if you do it for a very, very short time. It doesn't matter. It's about the getting wet. It's about the dipping the mind in, so to speak, and dipping the body into this different state that we happen to be calling meditation. And so that the brain chemistry and the blood chemistry in our bloodstream, all those things can change. And those things change in a matter of seconds in the experiments that you guys know that I was in when I was a teenager. I was in these medical studies. And they noticed the blood chemistry change in seconds. Very, very, very fast. Okay? So Steve or Mary Paz, you want to share a little bit of experiences? You guys been meditating a while with Dooley and Ashik?
Yeah, sure, Kelvin. I know I have been meditating for a long time. Different methods. There's all kinds of methods out there. I was injured by a roadside bomb in Iraq in 2005, and have brain damage. My left lobe, my brain has been damaged, and my vestibular system, that's the part that keeps you walking straight, that was damaged as well. And I got a hold of some called brain sync technology by Kelly Howell that operates with brain frequencies and brain waves like alpha and delta waves, different brain waves, and that helped me tremendously. And that was my real first experience and first introduction to meditation. I also, had followed some other methods like through Wayne Dyer. He had some good methods, but and for a long time, I'd do different things. I would do things with crystals, and I would just do things with what's that thing you use, Karen? For
Healing touch.
yeah, healing touch. With healing touch, just energy medicines to help me. But it wasn't until I was introduced to Kelvin's method that everything, it's like I kind of evolved. And for myself, it was like a learning thing, and I would meditate a certain ways, and I was always having to, well, I gotta be sitting this way. I gotta hold these fingers this way, or I gotta cross my legs this way, or I've got to be laying down, whatever it was. I had to be doing something and concentrate. Well, am I doing that right? Am I doing this right? Well, it wasn't until the let go, just let go of everything, and you don't have to worry about the outer influences, and you can meditate. I do it now sometimes in the car at a red light. Maybe for about 5 seconds or 10 seconds, but you would believe how much difference just a 5 or 10 second meditation would help you, and it really does. It helps me just that little bit. So now I wouldn't suggest that to anybody driving. Don't meditate when driving.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
But I have done that just for myself, just to see the effects of it, and it's helped me tremendously. So when I first started with Kelvin, I was having a lot of trouble sleeping at night.
Mm-hmm.
Insomnia real bad, having to take pills and going to the doctor and all this trying to fix it. Well, I don't take those pills anymore. I might on real bad occasions, or if I'm having real bad headaches from my war wounds in 2005, which I have those constantly. Meditation, for me, works quite well instead of medication. It helped me quite a bit. So that's been my experiences.
Wow, that's great, Steve. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that. That's great. Maybe one more. Mary Paz, do you want to say something before we meditate together?
Just quickly, I have not had any traumatic experiences in my life like Steve has, and I thank him for all he's done for us. What I've discovered is that what has helped me is just, like Steve said, those short meditation periods where they're only just a couple of minutes, like if I'm waiting for my kid, or at my studio when I'm working and I'm taking a break from my painting and I just want to gather my sense of self again, get centered. And I, like everybody else, I have things going on in my life that can be maddening or, just stressful. So
right.
I've been trying every night, and in the morning not so much because I tend to jump out of bed and get going, but during the day I will stop and take a few moments, and I don't know that I've gone as far as 20 minutes lately, but I definitely have found that it's a and I encourage people who are working with you to keep at it. It's very good. Thank you, Kelvin.
Thanks, Mary Paz. Appreciate it. Okay, any questions, anything in terms of technique any questions anybody may have? We have a couple more people join. And I always want to take technique questions or questions about technique, especially before we meditate. We're going to meditate together in a minute now. Any questions? Anything that's surfaced? Okay. We want to keep it simple, right? We think.
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Ashik. Yeah.
That I had insomnia after because I do have some sleeping pills given by the doctor, and that's why I do not get proper sleep at night. But after starting the meditation, while 2 weeks ago, I started waking up in the morning and good sleep at the night. But for last 2 days, it's been not possible to go to sleep at night, and my insomnia get started again.
Sometimes,
so
yeah.
Is there any connection between the meditation and the insomnia? I'm having.
No, what will happen is, and I was going to talk about this after we meditate, but since you asked, let me just say the short version of this, and I'll talk about it more after we meditate. But what can happen, it's when we are getting rid of these old stresses and anxieties that are causing insomnia or causing us to feel anxious, they don't all go away automatically, completely. They come and they go. And like Steve was saying, he still may have some days and some nights where he's feeling a little bit who knows what, and it causing that insomnia. But it might happen again sometimes because our brain and our blood chemistry is changing all the time. It's never all one way or all the other way, right? And so it's not the meditation that's causing the insomnia. The meditation is going to help the insomnia go away. But all of the other things in our lives that influence us, the air we breathe can cause us to have, a chemistry change that can cause insomnia. A lot of things can cause these things that we cannot actually pinpoint. We can't say, oh, it's that. There are many, many different factors that can elements that can affect us. And so the main thing is, no, it's not the meditation causing it, but the meditation will help it go away. But don't be surprised, don't be shocked or surprised if these things come and go before they eventually completely go away. Okay? That's the thing. As you continue. Because it's only been a couple of weeks. So as you continue, eventually it'll completely go away, but it will take some time. And it depends on each person. We'll talk about that. Okay? Any other questions in terms of technique? Anybody, any questions before we meditate? Okay, so let's meditate together. I'm going to walk you through step by step. We keep the technique very simple, remember. When we remember that we're off of the sound, we just easily, gently come back to it without anticipation or expectation, like I was saying earlier. And we just let the mind go. And remember, it's not about thinking the sound all the time. No, we think the sound sometimes during our meditation, and sometimes during the meditation, our mind is just thinking other things. And sometimes a lot of the time, the mind might be thinking other things, and that's totally 100% okay. All right? We let the mind go, because this is about letting go. That's how Steve said it. Steve's done many different types of meditation techniques, he said. And the way I describe what I'm teaching you is learning how to let go. Yes, there is a technique. We come back to the sound when we realize we're off of it. All of that. We know the technique. But it's about letting go of our stuff and letting go and allowing our mind to expand. And we'll talk about this after we meditate. Okay? So let's just sit comfortably first. Everybody just sit comfortably first. And I'll walk you through. Just sit comfortably. Close the eyes first. Let's open our eyes. Now again, let's close our eyes. Again, let's open our eyes. So when we close our eyes, naturally feel some quietness, some silence inside, right? Some quietness. Okay, good, good. Let's close our eyes again. Close the eyes again. And again, let's open our eyes. So everyone still have some quietness when we close the eyes, right? Everyone notice still a little bit of quietness, some quietness. You may have some thoughts along with that quietness. That's okay. And in that quietness, you may have noticed, like I just said, you have some thoughts pop up into the mind, right? Some mental activity. When I say thoughts, I mean any kind of mental activity. So that could be hearing noises outside. It could be having a lot of different types of mental experience. I just call that thoughts. And you notice how automatically the thoughts just pop up into the mind, right? So that's just how easily, just how effortlessly we want to think the sound. Okay, so this time when we close the eyes, just sit easily. After about half a minute or so, start to think the sound in that same easy, effortless way we think any other thought, and we'll meditate together. I'll keep track of the time. Okay, let's close the eyes. let's rest for a few minutes. I'll keep track of the time. If you want to lie down and rest now, or just put your head back and rest, you can do that now. I'll let you know when the time's up. was easy? Yeah, comfortable? Easy for everyone? Yeah, good. So it's easy and simple. Keep it easy and simple. It's just the normal, natural process of thinking the sound and then basically taking it as it comes, right? Whatever happens, happens. So we just let the mind go, and then when we realize we're off the sound, we go, oh, that's right. Easily, gently come back to it. Okay, so keep the technique very, very simple. And then always remember that doesn't matter how you feel afterwards, if you feel deep or relaxed, or you don't feel so deep, don't feel so relaxed. It will vary. It will change, right? How relaxed or you feel afterwards will change, in other words. Doesn't matter. You always take a long enough rest period. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or longer. If you can rest longer, you want to rest longer, then fine, rest longer. That's fine. But if you're really, really in a rush, 3 or 4 minute rest period at least. Never ever just jump up afterwards. It's really important to take a long enough rest period, remember, so we make the benefits permanent in our system. So let's talk about that today. Now, the long range effects. Because when I talk about long range effects, what's going to happen after you've been meditating for more weeks, more months, and then years and years and years of meditation, the way I'm teaching you, what happens is the benefits become more and more permanent in your nervous system. So Ashik, like you were just talking, at first you feel more, you feel like the anxiety has gone away, and then you might feel like the insomnia has gone away, and then you might feel a little insomnia come back a little bit sometimes. So this will happen because the benefits are becoming more and more permanent, but they're not completely permanent all the time right away. So at first, in these first few weeks, first several months, and it depends on each person because everybody's life is different, obviously. Everybody's life experience is different. Everybody's chemistry in their brain and their blood and their body is different. So all of these things affect us differently. So, but after a while, there's a pattern where these things, they come and they go. We may feel not so anxious, and then we might feel a little bit anxious on some day, but not as badly as before. And it just comes and goes, and eventually it completely goes, and we don't feel anxious anymore. But at first, it can be like we might feel a little sleeping issue, a little bit insomnia, and then it goes away, and then we might come back again a little bit. This is a general pattern that happens with everybody, and it's normal. So, but over a long period of time, the insomnia will eventually go away. Now, there are other things that can affect us, like insomnia. For example, if we watch too many videos, or we're watching TV, or looking at our iPhone, our smartphone, late at night, that stimulation in the eyes can also create sleep problems. So I always recommend, and this is, sleep experts talk about this, you can Google this, and maybe you already have, and they talk about how don't look at your smartphone, don't look at your computer, and don't watch TV right before you go to sleep, because that can cause the pixelation, what's called a pixelation, which is the vibration of the electronics in the screen, can cause a stimulation in the brain that causes us not to go to sleep, and it prevents certain I think it's serotonin. Is it serotonin? It helps us go to sleep at night, and so it prevents the creation of certain chemicals that helps us go to sleep. The vibration and the stimulation, the visual stimulation in our eyes and our brain of looking at screens too late at night. So that kind of thing, it can affect us. As I said earlier, the air we breathe can affect us, and if we're breathing a lot of pollution, then that can affect our sleeping at night as well. Not eating too late at night, you don't want to eat right before you go to sleep, because that can also make disrupt your ability to fall asleep and have a good night's sleep, a deep sleep, a restful sleep. So all of these other things that are not even meditation related can affect us. So we need to look at those things too. Okay, back to the meditation in terms of the long range effects. Basically what happens over time is little by little, as I said, more and more, the effects of the meditation stick in our nervous system. But they come and they go, like I said. So it's like, the anxiety will go away, we'll feel more clarity of mind, we'll feel fresher, more energized sometimes, but it fades away after a while. It doesn't last all day immediately. It lasts longer and longer, maybe, but not all day immediately. It goes away, it fades away. And so the analogy that I use to compare that to give you an example, is like dyeing a piece of cloth. So if you just had a white t-shirt, you had a t-shirt that was white, and you wanted to dye the t-shirt like dark purple, kind of. I don't know if you can see my shirt, but it's a very, very, very dark purple. So let's say you wanted to dye this white t-shirt dark purple. You would take the t-shirt, the white t-shirt, and you would put it in a bucket of water that has purple dye in it, the purple coloring in the water. And so you put the t-shirt in, but then you hang the t-shirt up, the wet t-shirt, up in the sun outside, and the sun dries the t-shirt out. This is the old technique of dyeing a piece of cloth and making the cloth the color deep purple, let's just say, for sake of the example. And so it dries it out, and you look at the t-shirt, now the t-shirt looks white again. It doesn't look purple, but then you take it and you dip it back in the bucket of purple water, and then you hang it up in the sun again. And you go back and forth, and each time you do that, a little more of the purple dye sticks in the white t-shirt fabric. And if you looked at it very closely with a magnifying glass or a microscope, you would see there's a little bit of dye in there, but you cannot see it with your eye at first. And then you dip it and you hang it up in the sun, you dip it and you fade it out in the sun again. It dries in the sun, it fades away. A little bit more dye sticks. Eventually, there's so much purple dye in the t-shirt looks dark purple, like my shirt that I'm wearing right now. But it happens over a long period of time. And that's the same thing that's happening with your meditation. Little by little by little, more and more of the benefits of the meditation are sticking in our nervous system, in our mind, our body, emotions, our nervous system. It sticks more and more until eventually you don't have insomnia. Eventually you don't have the anxious experience anymore. But at first it comes and goes, and it comes and goes, as more and more of the benefits of the meditation stick a little bit more in your body, in your mind, in your emotions. Okay? So that's the long range effect. And it's very important to remember this, because if you don't remember this, then you start to feel a little anxious, maybe a couple months, down the road, and or you have a little insomnia and you think, oh, it's not working. No, it's working, but it's working gradually, like this, like dyeing the piece of cloth. Little by little, more and more, more and more is sticking, but it doesn't stick permanently in a really, really, full way like that right away. Because everybody's different. When this kind of significant, big change happens in each individual is very personal. It's very individual. We don't know exactly when this is going to happen, when you notice, oh, no more insomnia. Oh, no more anxiety. We don't know when that's going to happen in a more permanent way, because that's very individual. But the pattern is there. That's what I'm describing to you, is the general pattern of what happens, and that's how that happens, okay? It eventually, you have this more permanent, long-lasting effect of basically feeling of freedom, like, oh wow, now I can really enjoy life. That kind of experience becomes your normal, everyday experience. That's what we're all growing towards. But like Sharon said, she's noticed it comes and goes, but it's more and more and more and more. And she notices when she meditates consistently, regularly, it's even more so. And so that's the consistency instruction that I've given all of you. And when I say consistent, I don't mean it has to be a certain amount of time each time. Remember, I keep telling you to be flexible about that. But the consistency means the regularity. Consistently, regularly, every day. You do it twice a day. I don't care how many minutes, if it's 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 8 minutes, and then you lie down and rest for 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't matter if it's 1 minute or 3 minute or 5 minute meditation. It doesn't matter. It's the consistency, the regularity, because what you are doing is you are reminding your nervous system, your mind, your body, your emotions. You are reminding it of, oh, that's right. I can turn that switch on where I don't feel so anxious. I can turn that switch on. That what the medical doctors call the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the medical terminology for it. You can Google it and you can read about it. But I call it the opposite of the fight or flight switch. So because we all know what the fight or flight switch, when we get anxious and we get like our heart races and everything is like, well, we want to turn on the opposite switch. Well, that's what the technique that I've taught you does. It turns on the opposite switch. But over and over and over again, reminding our nervous system through the consistent regularity of doing the meditation technique twice a day, that's what I mean. We're reminding our system, oh, that's right, our nervous system, if it could talk, it would say, oh, that's right. Kelvin's meditating again. Oh, that's right, that he's turning on that switch again. That automatic opposite of the opposite of the fight or flight switch. Oh, he's turning that on again. Oh, okay. So as I keep reminding my system of that, eventually what happens is every time you sit and you close your eyes, your mind will turn that switch on. You don't even have to do the technique I taught you anymore because the switch gets turned on so automatically. You sit, you close your eyes, and boom, the switch just turns on. You will get to a point sometimes, and some of you may have already started to experience this, where not only during your meditation, but when you lie down to take a nap, you will lie down to take a nap, and the switch will turn on. It will be like you feel like after you wake up, you go, wow, it feels like I just meditated. I didn't meditate. I didn't think the sound. I didn't do the technique that Kelvin taught me, but it feels like I did. How did that happen? That happens because your body has learned how, and your mind has learned how to turn on that switch so automatically. Well, that's what we want, right? It's all about turning on this automatically. But that can't be the technique that I'm teaching you, right? I'd be a terrible teacher of meditation if I just said, oh, all you got to do is close your eyes and turn on that switch. That's not helpful as a technique, right? So I teach you this technique. You sit, you close the eyes, you wait a half a minute, you start thinking this meaningless word, this sound, and then your mind goes off, you let it go. Oh, that's right, I'm off the sound. You come back to it, and then you take this rest period. That's the technique. But after a while, technique drops away, right? And after a while, and it depends on each individual when this happens. I'm just describing a general pattern to you. But when this happens, we don't know. It happens sometimes in months, sometimes in years for people. It really depends on the person. But eventually, every time you sit, you just close your eyes and mind just turns on this switch as if you feel like I'm meditating. And I don't even know. And I'm just, whatever. That can happen and will happen to all of you eventually. Okay? And you will get glimpses of it. And some of you I already know because I've talked with you. You've already gotten glimpses of this, what I'm just describing. In your meditation, sometimes you just don't know what happens and your mind just off in some daydream almost, just like some dreamy thing. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Your switch, your opposite of fight or flight switch has turned on automatically when you're in that state. Okay? You don't even know you're thinking. You don't even know you're thinking. You're aware, you're awake, but you don't even know. It's like, okay, but you've turned the switch on. That's all we care about, is turning the switch on. Okay? So again, back to the long-term effects. So what does that mean? That means that you will feel so wide awake, so centered, so grounded inside that it doesn't matter what life experience happens to you. outside, externally. Inside, you feel so strong and so grounded, so your foundation, it's like if you're a building, a structure. It's like your foundation is so strong inside. Your base is so strong inside. It doesn't matter what outside, you can handle it. You can deal with it. We all have life challenges, and they're all different, and we all will always have life challenges. But can we feel strong enough inside? That is the crucial factor. And we get, it's sometimes very, very challenging for all of us. And sometimes it's, I was thinking about myself, quite frankly. And some of you know that, I've been laid off. Now that I'm doing my full-time nonprofit work, I don't have to worry about this. I'm my own employer. But I was laid off 5 times from work, supporting a family of 4. I was laid off from my job 5 times since I was 50 years old. After I turned 50 years old, 5 times. And so it was very stressful. And I was just in the shower this morning thinking about how stressful it was the first time that happened. Because I was out of work for almost 2 years, and I was supporting a family of 4, with my retirement fund. And it was very, very stressful. Now, what prevented me from having really severe anxiety issues was the fact that I'd been meditating for so many decades at that point. I'd been meditating for 25 years at that point or something, whatever. A long time. And that really helped me. Did I feel still anxious in that severe, really intense life situation? Yes. To be honest, yes, I did. I still felt anxious. But could I go to a job interview and perform? Because that's what you do. If you've ever been in a job interview, you have to perform. You have to be there and be present, and you have to show them how confident you are and all that stuff. Yes, obviously I eventually successfully performed in a job interview because I got a new job. But that's difficult. It's very difficult if you've ever been in that situation, because it's a catch-22. You're feeling very anxious, and you have to show them that you're not anxious. Well, that's not easy to do, right? But the meditation saved me and saved my family, quite frankly, from a financial perspective, when I went through those situations. So I was just reflecting. I don't know why, but I was just reflecting about that myself this morning, about myself. So that's the long-range effects. It's the ability to handle whatever life challenges come up, because we all will have life challenges. And then when we are not in a life challenge, what does that mean? That when we have that reservoir, that foundation within us, then we can actually enjoy our lives. What a concept, right? Those moments when we're not in the middle of an acute life challenge, we can enjoy life. Well, that's critical, right? That's where life happens. And so that's what I wish for all of you through the work that I do, whether it's this work or any of the other nonprofit work. I do work through my nonprofits. That's my objective, is to help you live your life more enjoyably, whatever that means for you. Okay? Questions on anything in terms of the class today? Anything at all? So the solution, the simple solution, is just meditating twice a day. You meditate twice a day, and it will help build this foundation that we're talking about within you. And then you can be more productive, and you can be more loving in your relationships and so forth in your external daily life. That's what this is all about, right?
Got a question.
Yep.
Question, Calvin.
Yes.
Brother Ed here asking, now that we've done this, do we get a tattoo to go with it?
The Brother Ed, who lives in or around Austin, Texas, the tattoo capital of the world, I got to tell you, from when I lived there. That's funny. That is funny. Well, that's up to you.
I did want to give a quick feedback.
Yes.
Having been trained on multitude of meditation techniques and been at it for over 4 decades, I dearly appreciate the refresher, reminder, and inspiration that you are.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Brother Ed. Really appreciate it.
It's like buffering off. I've got a mirror. I've been trying to polish it, and occasionally there's, dust, dirt, and distractions that get caught between me and the light within, and this helps get it clear again.
That's great. That's great to hear, Ed. Really thank you for the feedback and
if Brother Steve is still on the line, having had serious TBI, brain injuries, the VA is giving me a device called Cefaly, Cefaly, and it's a TENS unit you wear like a third eye that relieves migraine headaches.
Interesting. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, I'm actually going to be doing more work. I want to talk with both of you actually offline, Brother Ed and Steve. I'm going to be doing a more.
If you don't mind, could you send that to me again? I didn't write it down.
Yeah,
Cefaly.
Cefaly.
Not two E's.
One E.
All right, I'm sorry. Say again.
Cefaly.
Yeah.
Cefaly.
Yeah, I'll send it to. I'll send it.
Echo Foxtrot Alpha.
I'll send it to you, Ed, Steve. I'll send it to you. I can hear Ed what he's saying.
Okay.
I'll send it to
We
you.
have to get out the door.
Yeah. Okay. I want to have an offline conversation with you guys because I'm just FYI for everybody. I'm going to be doing some work with some vets and some war vets in U.S. war vets soon with my meditation technique, and I'll fill you in. I'm speaking at an international conference in a few months, so I'll talk to you about that. Yeah, offline.
Looking forward to it, but
Okay.
at the moment I'm going to have to sign off.
Thanks, Ed. Great to have you on.
And I'll be available. PRN, darlings.
Sounds good.
The force is with us. Over and out.
Okay, Ed. Take care. Thanks for everybody be on the call. Any other remaining questions? Anybody else want to comments or questions they'd like to share, or any questions they'd like to ask me?
I have a question.
Yes, Ashik. Yeah.
Does the sound matter? Sometimes I think that I will think about that sound. Sometimes I think that I will think about that sound or those sound. But does it matter?
The exact sound and the pronunciation does not matter so much. Don't worry about the sound. Don't worry about the pronunciation. Don't worry if it changes. It's not about that. It's more about the technique of how I'm teaching you to use the sound. Okay? The main thing about the sound is that it doesn't have any meaning to it, because meaning is going to direct our mind. That's going to make our mind think about certain things. Like I'm looking at, I don't know, window. Like I look at a window, and what do I think? I think glass. I think light coming in. I think, what am I going to see through the window? I have all these meanings that go along with the word window. So you don't want to use a sound that has meaning to it for that reason. But that's why I give you the sounds that I give you. The sounds that I use have been used in meditation for many thousands of years. Those are the sounds that I give. But the exact pronunciation and all of that stuff does not matter at all. Okay?
What is the sound you give to us?
Well, I can check that with you privately later, because I give different sounds to different people.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything else?
Not from my side.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Good. Well, it's great to have everybody on. And Ashik, why don't you stay on the call, and and everybody else can hang up, and then I'll just check you and Dooley. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So thanks everybody, and we'll talk again.
তা বললো না মানে কি বললো বুঝলাম না